Welcome to Defense Web TV, part of the Army Recognition Group. You are watching our weekly defense recap, bringing you the latest global developments in defense and security across land, air, and sea. In this edition, we take a closer look at 5 key stories shaping the week in defense. South Korea regains naval power in East China Sea with its first task fleet exercise. Moldova fields Israeli ATMOS 2155mm howitzers as Europe ramps up security aid. China's GJ-11 stealth drone flies with G-20 fighter jet in first public display. General Atomics pushes containerized railgun concepts for Guam defense and Golden Dome protection. US deploys AC-130J Ghostrider Gunship in El Salvador as pressure increases on Venezuela. South Korea has completed its first fleet-level exercise under the new Task Fleet Command, centered on Aegis destroyers and logistics escorts in the East and South Seas. The 3-day wargame shows how Seoul plans to combine missile defense, long-range strike, and high mobility to respond to North Korean launches and increase Chinese naval activity in the region.
South Korea's Navy has completed its first fleet-level exercise under the newly established Task Fleet Command. This 3-day drill, held in the East and South Seas from November 9 to 11, showcased advanced Aegis destroyers, support ships and aircraft, rehearsing anti-ship, anti-submarine, air defense, and ballistic missile tracking operations. The exercise, marking the Navy's 80th anniversary, highlighted the task fleet's ability to operate as a mobile, blue water strike force, uniting 7 warships and 3 aircraft under a single command. Leading the formation was the ROKS Jeongjo the Great, a new KDX-3 Batch 2 Aegis destroyer equipped with the latest missile defense systems, and long-range precision strike capabilities. Alongside, Sejong the Great class and Cheongmugong-yi Sun-Sin class destroyers provided layered defense, while Cheonji class support ships ensured operational endurance. The maneuver was not just a show of force, it reflected South Korea's strategic emphasis on integrating missile defense, strike options, and fleet mobility, countering recent North Korean ballistic tests and the rising presence of Chinese naval forces. The task fleet demonstrated complex formations, live gunnery, and simulated intercepts, rehearsing scenarios akin to Allied networks and future carrier operations. Defense analysts see this as a signal of Seoul's growing maritime capability and trilateral cooperation potential with US and Japanese forces, strengthening the region's air and missile defense posture. With North Korea testing short-range missiles and China expanding its fleet, South Korea's task fleet emerges as a flexible and formidable pillar of national defense.
Moldova has quietly brought Israeli ATMOS 2155mm truck-mounted howitzers into service, giving its army a first modern self-propelled artillery capability.
In a quiet but consequential upgrade, Moldova has placed Israeli ATMOS 2000 truck-mounted 155mm howitzers into service, marking the country's first modern self-propelled artillery capability. The ATMOS, designed by Soltam and marketed by Elbit, pairs a 52 caliber 155mm gun with a wheeled 6x6 or 8x8 chassis and an armored cab. It stores roughly 27 to 32 rounds, fires multiple rounds per minute, and depending on ammunition can reach about 30 kilometers with standard shells, or beyond 40 kilometers with rocket-assisted rounds. Technologically, the system brings digital fire control, inertial navigation plus GPS for fast self-location, automated laying, and stabilizing jacks that speed emplacement. Those features enable a shoot-and-scoot profile, short, high-intensity salvos followed by rapid displacement, reducing the window for detection by drones and counter-battery radars. For a small force with limited manpower, that rhythm boosts survivability and tempo. The deployment dovetails with expanding European peace facility aid and Moldova's longer-term move away from Soviet-era to NATO standard systems. While a handful of wheeled guns won't by themselves alter the regional balance, they carry political weight, improving interoperability with EU and NATO partners, strengthening logistics and training pathways, and increasing the costs of coercive actions along Moldova's borders. In a region where artillery still decides battles, even a modest ATMOS fleet signals a strategic trajectory, integration, and greater resilience under uncertain skies.
China has released the first footage of its GG-11 stealth drone, flying in formation with a G-20 stealth fighter and G-16D electronic warfare aircrafts. Published for the Air Force's 76th anniversary, the images highlight Beijing's progress in integrating stealth, unmanned and electronic attack capabilities into a single operational package.
On November 11, 2025, China marked the 76th anniversary of its Air Force by releasing new footage titled Far-Reaching Dreams. The video revealed for the first time the GJ-11 Dark Dragon stealth drone flying in formation with the J-20 Mighty Dragon stealth fighter and the J-16D electronic warfare aircraft. This was the first public display of coordinated flight among these three advanced platforms, showcasing China's growing ability to integrate stealth, strike, and electronic warfare operations. In the film, the GJ-11 is seen taxiing out of a hangar, taking off, and joining the J-20 and J-16D in formation. Additional scenes show a J-20 launching an air-to-air missile and the firing of an HQ-20 surface-to-air missile from a ground platform, highlighting coordination between air and missile defense systems. The GJ-11, with its flying wing design, is capable of deep penetration strikes, surveillance, and decoy missions. It can operate independently or under the control of crewed fighters through encrypted data links, demonstrating manned-unmanned teaming capabilities. Together, the J-20, J-16D, and GJ-11 represent a new structure in which stealth aircraft conduct attacks. Electronic jammers suppress defenses, and drones extend engagement range. A coordinated force optimized for operations in contested airspace. The film also reflects China's modernization efforts, including the use of artificial intelligence, simulation, and digitalized training to develop advanced air combat tactics and human-machine integration. The appearance of the GJ-11 Dark Dragon alongside the J-20 and J-16D symbolizes China's move toward next-generation, networked air warfare, where stealth, electronic attack, and autonomous systems operate together as one cohesive force.
In the United States, General Atomics is renewing its push for electromagnetic railguns as possible terminal layer for air and missile defense. The company is pitching a family of containerized launchers for Guam and the Golden Dome concept, firing inert projectiles at claimed speeds around Mach 6.
In October 2025, General Atomics refreshed its vision for electromagnetic railguns as a terminal layer of air and missile defense, offering a family of launchers sized roughly 3, 10, and 32 megajoules, and projectiles that could reach speeds near Mach 6. The proposal centers on containerized pulsed power trains, compact modules housed in 6.5-foot to 20-foot containers paired with inert palletized rounds. That design trades chemical propellants and explosive warheads for electrically launched kinetic rounds, promising deep magazines and simplified logistics. No explosives to store, no fuse to fail. General Atomics says this approach shortens time of flight, increases keep-out zones for defended assets, and can perform multiple missions from counter-UAS and counter-cruise defense to counter-battery and precision indirect fire. The potential operational benefit is clear. Replace a multi-million-dollar interceptor's Think PC-3 or SM-6 with low-cost kinetic rounds that let defenders absorb mass raids while preserving expensive interceptors for the highest value threats. But the railgun's history is a cautionary tale. The Navy's earlier electromagnetic gun effort was paused after researchers proved the physics but encountered persistent problems: barrel and rail erosion, power quality limits, and rate of fire challenges under sustained conditions. For General Atomics' pitch to move beyond concept, government trials must deliver hard numbers on barrel life, arcing mitigation, thermal management, electromagnetic compatibility, and the real power footprint of a mobile system. If trials validate GA's claims, railguns could reshape a sustainment math for terminal defenses, providing a mobile generator-fed, magazine-deep layer that is cheaper per engagement and easier to supply. Until then, the railgun remains a promising but unproven option on paper, one that could change the calculus of defending ports, airfields, and critical infrastructure if the engineering hurdles are finally cleared.
Satellite imagery and flight tracking data have confirmed that a US AC-130J Ghostrider Gunship is operating from El Salvador's Comalapa Air Base, alongside a Navy P-8A Poseidon and C-40 transports. The deployment is part of a broader US buildup across the Caribbean and Central America, aimed at counter-narcotics missions and increased pressure on Venezuela.
In mid-October 2025, US strike-capable aircraft began operating from Comalapa, marking the first verified deployment of such planes to El Salvador since the Cold War. This deployment is part of a wider regional buildup across Central America and the Caribbean, including 10,000 troops, drones, bombers, and Navy ships, with the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group expected to join. The AC-130J Ghostrider represents a significant capability enhancement, featuring multi-role capabilities and advanced weaponry, including a 30mm chain gun, 105mm howitzer, Hellfire and Griffin missiles, and precision-guided bombs. This operation highlights strengthened US-El Salvador cooperation on counter-narcotics and anti-smuggling operations across the region. The AC-130 gunship lineage traces back to the Vietnam War-era Spectre, evolving into today's modern Ghostrider with enhanced surveillance, interdiction, and deterrence capabilities. This expanded US military presence in Central America represents a significant shift in regional security operations, with maritime missions extending throughout the Caribbean Sea. On Sunday, 9th November, off the Senegalese coast, the Navy wrote a new chapter in its history. From the deck of the offshore patrol vessel, OPV Cayor, Senegalese sailors carried out their first ever anti-ship missile firing at sea, fully under national control and without foreign assistance. Beyond the image of the launch itself, this event confirms that the Navy can now detect, track, and engage a surface target from the sea with a modern guided weapon, using its own command chain and its own rules of engagement. Built by the French shipyard Piriou and delivered in 2024, the offshore patrol vessel OPV Cayor is the third OPV 58S in Senegalese service, after Wallo and Niani. Measuring about 62.8 meters in length and 9.5 meters in beam for a displacement of roughly 730 tons at full load, it offers an endurance of up to 11,000 nautical miles, which allows extended patrols out to offshore oil and gas fields. Armed with anti-surface missiles and air and surface defense systems, the Cayor combines patrol duties with credible combat capability, giving Dakar a platform able to escort, deter, and, if necessary, neutralize hostile units at sea. The Cayor has been designed to protect offshore petroleum and gas infrastructure, to fight illicit trafficking and marine pollution, and to support search and rescue operations. Its name, taken from an historic Senegalese kingdom associated with freedom and sovereignty, underlines the political message carried by this new flagship. With this first missile firing successfully completed, the Senegalese Navy shows that it now possesses a modern launch platform able to defend vital national interests at sea, at a time when maritime security challenges and offshore production around Sangomar are becoming increasingly central to the country's strategic posture.